Good morning, mamas.
Wherever you are.
And whatever you're doing.
Be encouraged.
And get excited because Good Morning Mama starts right now.
Good morning, mamas, and welcome to episode 1 of this vlog that we are so excited to bring to you guys. Today we are here with Miss Amber Vaughan, who, if you don't know her, is just somebody that you want to know if you're a mom. I think I've known her for probably 7 or 8 years, and Jess, you've known her for like 7,
I think we did the math, I think like maybe 5.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the way over here. She is just one of those people that she has been through it all with kids. She has a 14 and a 12-year-old now, and game changer, a 6-month-old now, baby Maverick, who was a welcomed surprise. But she has been homeschooling since Landon was in, what, 2nd grade?
Yeah, we started in 2nd grade.
Yeah, since 2nd grade. So she has been through a lot of it, and now she's in the whole virtual learning, which we'll talk about later. So I'm super excited, but Amber is so sweet, and she just kind of brings confidence and a calm presence wherever she goes. So I hope you guys get to experience that in this video, and welcome. So we're gonna get started on homeschooling. So Amber, when you started, Landon was in 2nd grade. Tell us about your background before you were kind of a mom, what you brought into it, and then what even made you start thinking about homeschooling?
Well, I just always wanted to be a teacher, so I went to Lenore Ryan and got my degree in elementary education, and taught for 10 years. Prior to homeschooling, I taught kindergarten, 1st and 3rd grade. And then after having kids and with Landon being in school for kindergarten and 1st grade at a great school, great teachers, we kind of just started to see that he had some special learning needs, and just knowing the pace of public school, teachers have a hard job and they're required to meet standards and work at, the state's pace. And I know they do everything they can to meet the needs of a child, but we just, Bill and I prayed about it, and we just felt like it was going to be best for him to be able to be here with me, with my education background, and just be able to work at his pace and target his learning needs from home. So I stayed home with him for his 2nd grade year. I let Lexi go to kindergarten just to see if that was going to be a good fit, and it ended up being exactly what we needed. It was not hunky-dory every day, but we worked through it. So here we are. Now it's his 8th year. So he would be a freshman in high school.
Okay, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Lots of years of experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And all those years, I'm sure you've probably gone through a bunch of different curriculums, but what was your favorite and what do you use now?
Okay, so my favorite when the kids were younger in the last few years was Abeka, which is, they have curriculum for every subject. We did not go that route. I guess I probably should have done a disclaimer and said everything that I say on here today, you're going to ask another homeschool mom and she's going to have a totally different opinion. So this is just what worked for us and what's a good fit for our family and my kids. So just a side note on that. But Abeka is what I used for reading, language arts, spelling, all that good stuff. And then I also used Saxon Math when they were in the younger elementary grades. And then recently, the last few years, we've used Christian Light Math. Okay. And it's similar to Saxon, but I checked it out one day and loved it. So we've been using that for more of the upper elementary grades.
Do you get all your books and everything from Amazon, or where do you get them from?
I order a lot. If I have to order, if I need something new, I order from christianbooks.com christianbooks.com, but I find a lot of my stuff at Goyens in Statesville. It is, half of the store is new and used homeschool curriculum.
Oh, cool.
So whatever I use, I take back at the end of the year, and they will give you either cash or store credit, and you can put it back towards what you're purchasing for the next year. So
that's awesome.
And they have new stuff too, so it just you kind of just have to do your research on what's the best deal and what you need. And the good thing about that is you don't have to buy everything in bulk there. You can buy things separately, and some things you buy the whole curriculum, but most of it, like if you're missing one book for something, you could go there and see if they have it. So, and they have great prices, very reasonable. And I talked to the lady, her name's Miss Nancy at Gullions, and she's homeschooled all hers. She's an older lady and knows curriculum like the back of her hand, and kind of just told her what his learning style was, and she was able to point me in the direction of a couple different things.
You started virtual learning this year.
Last year.
Okay.
Last year.
But until then, you've done it for what, 6 or 7 years? Just
Yes.
you choosing curriculum and whatnot?
Yes.
What is the biggest difference? So neither of us have ever homeschooled.
Right.
But I've heard some positives, but a lot of negatives from virtual learning. So what is the biggest kind of difference you see between virtual learning and homeschooling?
Well, the biggest difference is the flexibility in what you choose, the amount of work you choose for your kids to do every day. I would say that's maybe not the biggest, but a big difference for us. And that's through the public school, so there's a gap, a little bit of a gap in certain things with what you've taught up until that point and then where they're at. Say homeschooling is more, you can meet more of like their developmental needs. And then, whereas with public school, which is what virtual learning is through, they have standards and things that are taught at each grade level. So we are not a technology-loving family as far as, well, back up. We do love technology, but we are not electronic people. My kids don't have phones yet. We have an iPad and we have a computer that we do work on. They have their Chromebooks now, but other than that, we don't have game systems, stuff like that. We just do
Which
not.
is kind of unheard of, let's be honest, in
Yeah.
our society.
It really is. So I can't stand seeing kids with their face in a phone all the time. I just don't think it's good. My kids get outside, they play, they just do other things. So that's probably been the biggest adjustment, is just having that on the computer. But what I've tried to do to make up for that is I try to print out what I can, because I think it's important for them to be able to see what they're learning, whether it's watching a video from a teacher, but then see what they're looking at or what the work is they had to do, because it is difficult to try to do everything on the computer. So
And some kids need that hands-on
yes,
kind of.
my kids are used to that, so that's how we've kind of made up for the difficulty in the switch over to virtual learning with that.
So are they still, do they have to do the EOGs and EOCs
Yes.
if they're doing virtual school?
Yes, we didn't have to last year this past school year.
Got a symphony back there.
Because of COVID, they will have to.
Take an EOG
Yes, they
or
will.
EOC.
They will.
Whereas in homeschool, that's not.
No, in homeschool, the only thing in North Carolina you have to do at the end of the year is give them some type of achievement test.
Okay.
You get to pick whatever it is. I used the Stanford 10, just to throw that out there, and we did it at home in a relaxed environment. We spread it out over the week.
That sounds so much better, because I had so much test anxiety growing
Yes.
up. So.
And even my kids have a little bit, and I've never put pressure on them when it comes to tests, but they had a little bit, and I was the one testing them. You can also take them to, there are testing facilities that do homeschool kids. So you can do that as well if you don't want to be the one to have to administer that. But I just still tell mine, even with EOGs and all that stuff, that it's a one-time test that is not determine, how much you've learned or that kind of thing. Just do your best. So I try to take the stress of tests off
That's good.
of them, because I want them to enjoy learning, not be worried about passing a test or making a certain, even with grades. We did grades just kind of for a fun thing, just so like they knew once they got older they would eventually have grades and scores and things like that. So when they were younger, we would do spelling tests and things like that. I would grade it just to kind of ease them into that. So even with this year, I'm like, you may see a 85, and that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I saw a lot of those.
Yeah.
I saw a lot.
Well, that's a B now, and I'm like, a B is
70.
average.
Got 70. That's the class.
70's a C now. It's a 10-point grading scale. So
Well,
I'm like,
I think it's important, like what you said too, that they learn to love to learn.
Yes.
Because even as an adult, you're not in school, but you have to
Yes.
learn still. So loving learning I think is really important.
yep, it is very important.
Paint a picture for us. What is a day in the life at the Vaughan homeschool house.
Okay.
What's your schedule like?
Well, so it looks a little bit different from when they were younger and now. It has not changed. I let my kids wake up on their own. And both of them are fairly early risers.
Can we go back to that?
Both of them are up by 8:30 at the latest every day. So I don't have to. I would say if they're sleeping past that, I would probably wake them up if they're sleeping past 9
Do you
o'clock.
put a bedtime on it? Or
We still go to bed as if we are in school. Yes.
Okay.
So
Which is important if you're going to
Yes.
wake up early.
I just feel like kids need their rest. They need their downtime. We had probably a 8:30, 9 o'clock bedtime when they were in, I would say, 2nd grade through 4th or 5th grade. And as they've gotten older now, it's usually 9:30 at the latest. So obviously if there's something, a game or something on TV that they're wanting to watch or finish out, I'll let them do that once in a while. But I just feel like it's important to have structure and have those boundaries. So they go to bed as if they're getting up to go to school.
That's good.
They get up on their own and then we do breakfast. And we try to start school by between 9 and 10 o'clock at the latest. And then when they're little in elementary grades, you know, your time's going to increase every year as they get older. But like kindergarten first, we've maybe spent an hour and a half of instructional time total, all put together. The whole day. Yep.
That's
and
awesome.
then I would say it adds on by about 30 minutes to an hour every year. So, well, I wouldn't say every year. As they get into those 3rd and 4th and 5th grade years, you're probably going to add a little bit more. Right now, mine are spending about 4 hours a day homeschool. I would say an hour per class. Sometimes less, sometimes a little more. Not usually more than that, but we still try to have like our Bible time. And if they need a break, the good thing about homeschooling, whether you're virtual learning or whether you're truly homeschooling, where you pick your own curriculum, that kind of thing, they can have breaks. So if they're brain fried at the moment, we would take breaks. We'd go outside, or I'd let them go out and do their school on the porch or under the umbrella, or
Just change the location.
change
do
the
something.
location.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, we had times where we sat at a table and we did things that, you know, downstairs, or sometimes we do it up here at the dining room table, but changing the location, just flexibility. So I don't necessarily go off of a 10 to 10:30 we're doing this, and 10:30 to 11 we're doing this. I tried to do that when I first started homeschooling Landon. I was still in that classroom teacher mindset, and it literally took me a full year of homeschooling to get myself out of, he does not need school from 8 to 3. He does not need instruction from 8 to 3. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you think about the typical school day with the breaks for lunch and breaks for snack and breaks for interruptions and behavior problems and all that, you know, you put all that instructional time together, and it's about what you're going to be doing here at the house. So we don't go off of times. We just have tasks that we need to get done.
And get it done.
Yep. But I do think it's important to have structure.
So do you take subjects like they struggle with more and do them earlier,
Yes.
or do you like choose
Good
your
question.
times?
We get the tough things out of the way first.
Okay. And then big break.
Yeah, we get the tough things out of the way first. You know, and if it becomes so frustrating, the good thing about it is you can walk away for the day. You know, give them a break, give yourself a break, and be flexible, and just have an open mindset and the day.
I wish I could have done that in school, because like if you
I
had
know.
the class you didn't like, at least at the end of the day you dreaded it all
Yes.
day and stuff. So.
Yes.
And you're brain dead at that point.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say this, I let my kids choose what they wanted to do, and typically they would choose the hard things to get out of the way first.
But do you think not having a social interaction with, because it's one big difference between school where you're constantly around other kids for
Right.
good and for bad, do you think that has had an impact on them, or do you think they learn better not being around a bunch of other kids, or how do you think that whole lack of socialness throughout the day affects them?
Years ago, I would probably have said homeschool kids were socially deprived.
I think you did say
I
that.
did say that. Socially awkward. Socially awkward was the better term, I think. So Bill and I are involved in other things, and we both, he coaches, and
Because Bill's still a teacher.
Bill's still a teacher. He's a high school math teacher and coaches football. So we've always just tried to give our kids other social opportunities with not being in school. Like Lexi tried dance for a year. She enjoyed it, but she didn't want to do it the next year. Okay, no big deal. Landon loves sports. He's played football every year since he was 5. So they have gotten opportunities with Optimus Ball, school sports, rec, and church. People think you just sit in your home all day and never see anybody. You could very easily do that, but you know, I like to be around other people once in a while, other adults. And you know, I want my kids to be able to do that too. So they got a lot of their social interaction through sports. But I will say, on the flip side of things, you know, every parent has expectations and different values, and being in public school, they're exposed to a lot of different scenarios, a lot of worldly views, a lot of worldly things. Sometimes kids that come from homes of lack of discipline or you know, things like that. So I will say, with having mine home with me this much, they do, for their age, have a certain level of innocence that is still there. From that aspect of things, I don't miss them being in public school. I feel like it's, you know, fads and popularity and, you know, things like drama. Oh my gosh. I mean, I have a 12-year-old. Yeah, well, I have a 12-year-old daughter that literally doesn't necessarily know what drama is.
You're home all day with your kids unless you guys go out somewhere. But some people might be like, oh my gosh, I have my kids home with me all day after they're not babies anymore. I don't know if I can do that. Did you ever have feelings like that?
Yes. I mean, obviously, the younger they are, the more needy, and you know, the less independent they are. You are literally having to watch them 24/7. And I remember some days feeling like I was literally on an island by myself, because a lot of my friends teach, so it was like we would have all this time, and Bill even being home as well. Over the summer, we'd have all this time, and then it was like everybody went back to work and everybody went back to school, and I'm here with my kids all day. But through just definitely prayer and my time with the Lord in the mornings, and you know, just the structure of things and finding joy in being at home with your kids, the more I was home with them, I know it sounds crazy, but the more we began to enjoy each other, and I began to enjoy my time with them. Yes, the younger days were harder. Now mine are older, except for Maverick, but now mine are older, and the more independent they come, it's almost like the more fun it gets, because you're not having to
like be on micromanage.
Yes, I think it gets easier with time.
Yeah, and the disciplining days, you're in a different phase now, obviously,
out
too.
Of that, which is a key for homeschooling.
Okay, so last question I can think of is the term co-op, right? Did you guys ever join a co-op? Or?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We did a co-op for a year, a full school year. It was actually at a church, and we went on Fridays, and it was super cool how the people had laid it out. The director had laid it out. It was from 9 to 1, and each of my kids got to sign up for 4 different classes, and they were all your fun stuff that you like to do. So like Lexi was in a Pinterest class. They had a law enforcement class, so they had a police officer come in, and they had certain people lined up, volunteers to come, and then a lot of the parents taught certain classes. So some of it was parent led, and then others were instructor. Like, it was a lot of fun, but my kids definitely enjoyed it, and they met new people. It's cool. But I know other moms, and I've even done this before, when we didn't do a co-op, we would have a certain day, or we'd try to at least once a week get together and do something, even if the kids were different ages, just to be with another adult and go do something made the world a difference. So
Rachel and I used to joke that I would teach math and she would teach reading. Yes. But now you'll be in the mix too, because you got one the same age.
Yeah, you're back in the mix.
We'll just all school together. We'll just all school together. So I do want to say this. Somebody asked me what the hardest thing was about being at home or homeschooling. And I think there's two things. The biggest one with homeschooling is having that pressure on you with the weight and the accountability of
You're the main teacher.
you are their teacher, and I remember thinking, if they don't learn, it's because of me. The pressure it can really get to you if you
no
let
pressure,
it
but there's a lot of
get
pressure.
in your head. No pressure, but a lot of pressure. If you let it get in your head. And the other part is the kitchen is always open. Like you feel like you are a short order cook 24/7. I'm like, holy cow, we just made breakfast and now you're hungry again. Okay, what do you want? So aside from just the accountability of being their teacher and everything that they learn coming from you, and the kitchen always being open and all that, it's just, you feel like you wear so many hats when you're here. Just wife, mom, cook, teacher, housekeeper, you do a lot. So by the end of the day, 9 o'clock comes and mom's done, which is why we had decent structured bedtimes. Because mom, the nice mom is wearing down, and we all just need to go to bed and start fresh the next day. But I will say, if you consider homeschooling or even just staying at home with your kids, whatever, the most important advice I would give is just to be prayerful about it. From year to year, I mean, at the point our kids are at now, we're prayerful every year in regards to just what curriculum we're going to use, or, are we going to have them in virtual learning, or, even down to just the decision for them to be here, or what sports they're going to play. This is not what we're supposed to be doing, or the structure that we're supposed to be in, just lead me in the right direction and that kind of thing. So I always tell people, just take it one day at a time when you're in it, and then 1 year at a time when it comes to your decision for curriculum and stuff like that. So
that's such awesome advice. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Welcome.
Yeah, but Amber, she's a superstar. So give her some love. Not only does she have 2 almost teenagers, we'll just call Lexi a teenager.
Yeah.
She also has this cutie patootie. What's up, Gaines? that cutie patootie. This one right here. So drop her some love in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to Good Morning Mama. Subscribe to our page. And if you know any moms out there who you are always calling for advice, and they just seem to do that one thing so awesome. Like we think Amber does homeschool so awesome. If you know somebody like that, and they're a mom, reach out to us, and we want to interview them here on Good Morning Mama. So
until next time, you guys.
See you later.
Bye.